is Shekinah, aka the Purpose Therapist, and this is another episode of Journey to Joy. As I prefaced before in our previous episode, this is a series to help us navigate all the different obstacles that might come up as we're trying to maintain our joy. And although this is like a very, very huge conversation, there's so many different ways you can go about doing this. I wanted to kind of like be a little bit more, transparent and direct about my own experience so that it can be helpful for someone, or in hopes that it's helpful for someone else. And then too, because I think that there's like a misconception about how joy works. I did not wake up like this. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, just decide that you're going to be happy and everything's going to be great. No, absolutely not. It does take work. It's an intentional process, and we have to give ourselves the opportunity to really like dig into that. So without further ado, here we go. The next conversation, or our topic today, is going to be about our spiritual life or spiritual journey and maintaining joy. So for me, I think I've shared this before, or as you all may have, I'm the daughter of a pastor and things like that, born and raised in church, dancing as long as I can remember, being heavily involved in all things with my relationship with God, and mainly because of where I was planted. My church, I went to Bethel Full Gospel Baptist Church, I think it's called now, the Bethel Church, in Miami. And while I was there, it was like so full of just like purpose and love and all things related to God. And so it was ingrained in me from a very, very young age that I need to maintain this relationship, and it was my responsibility to do it. And so unfortunately with that though, when you've been in that your whole entire life, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of all these different like narratives show up because you want this, there's this expectation of righteousness, and there's this expectation that you have to maintain and become this person. And when you don't, or when you fall from it, then all of a sudden I'm not, worthy of this love that is so immaculate and filling and supposed to be the thing that gives me purpose. And so you start to question, when negative things start to happen in your life, you start to say like, okay, well, maybe God hates me because of A, B, and C, or whatever the case. And I can't even tell you how like often there's not, even when things don't go according to plan, in my mind, there's not these consistent questions about like, okay, so like, what did I do to make God so upset with me for him to not be able to like love me in the way that'll give me a certain result for something. And this showed up in a lot of different situations in my life. My dad passed. That was an upset in a lot of ways, but it was an upset even more for that, because I was like, dang, so what did I do for God to have to take my dad away? You know what I'm saying? Or when I moved and I was having like a really, 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 really hard time getting adjusted. I moved from Miami to Birmingham, Alabama. Now, if you understand the difference between the two, that is a major, major shift, super huge shift. And in that shift, like a lot of like terrified, it was a lot of transitional things had to happen for me. I was a culture shock. It was just a lot of stuff. I was trying to figure out who I was. I was like 15 years old. It was just a lot. But in addition to all of these different pieces of it, a big part of that was trying to understand, what does it mean to have a relationship with God for real, for myself. Now, there are things that are happening that I did that I wasn't really proud of. And so the shame and the guilt alone in it made me feel like God did not love me, and then led me into all types of depression and things like that. And this is like a 15, 16 years old. You see what I'm saying? So like trying to maintain joy when there's also this very real narrative that says like, okay, you have to work for and do this so that you can get loved by, or as soon as you do this, you can be separated from him, and things like that. And it was a narrative that kept going. And so although like, I was typically, or seemed very happy and things like that up until like my early 20s, there was a real part that didn't think that joy was something, or understanding peace, or understanding that could be something that was really possible for me, because I had done so many bad things. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not worthy of joy. What do you mean? Like, I've done this, I'm not this. What is that? Until I recognized this. So the church I go to now is New Life Interfaith Ministries in Bessemer, Alabama, and they lit. The reason why they're lit is because my pastor has been very intentional about pouring into us specific like words about things. He preaches, but he preaches based on words. And so I'm a very fact-based person, fact-driven person, and I need to see it like written for what it is for me to understand and believe it. And so then that was this. opportunity. This was me being at church and being able to sit underneath someone who was like giving me word, like helping me understand stuff on the most practical level. And one of the things that set me free, two of them, was it was Romans 8:28 through 32. And it talks about how all things work for the good of those that are called who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And it kind of like, it set me free in a way, because it's like all things are working for my good, even if it doesn't seem like it is. And then in addition to that, all I got to do is be called, and all I have to do is love him. You see what I'm saying? So, and then it goes on to talk about how nothing can separate us from the love of God. And that was in itself freeing. So it's like I can dare have joy, and I could dare live a life that's like full, and dare live a life of peace, and dare live a life of like just like believing for certain things and having faith for certain things in my life, because nothing can separate me from his love in the first place. Nothing has the power to do that. Not even me. I can't even do it. So I said all that to say, while you're on your journey, here are some things that kind of like helped me kind of reestablish my relationship with God, and helps me kind of like reframe some of that thinking around like what I'm worthy of and what I'm not, right? Number one was me being able to be honest about what the things that I felt a way about, like just acknowledging it. Like, I feel a way about this thing. Like, these are things that I dropped the ball on. These are things that I'm not proud of. These are things like just really being really frank and honest with myself about it, right? And then understanding that that's wiped clean. Like, I don't have to, today, every day is a new day, because I'm made of God, I'm a new creation. Like, I could start over. You see what I'm saying? And so that was freeing in itself, like just knowing like I can acknowledge all these things, but the next thing is realizing that just as much as I can acknowledge it is just as much as I can step away from it, just as much as I can go on to another version of myself and continue to remake myself every single day. Ain't nobody holding a record against me on this. Erase it and be free from it, because you're allowed to do that. So that was like, that's number one, acknowledge. Number two, like recognize that you're separated from it. And then number three, the biggest part was for me was starting to surround myself with words and people and situations that allowed me to encourage this newer version of me. It's hard for you to be able to embrace the best parts of yourself when there are people that are consistently around you that are trying to remind you of who you're not. Separate yourself. And get into position with people that can speak life into you and for who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing next, right? And the last part is give yourself the opportunity to open your hands and receive joy. Don't question it, right? When you're having a good day, embrace it. When you see something good that's happening, live in it, right? And surround yourself consistently with that idea that this is possible for you and you deserve it. You deserve it. For no other reason but because you woke up this morning, you deserve it. And that's it. Like, that's really it. So allowing yourself the opportunity to lean into that, and then being very strategic about how you cope and prepare yourself for the day. So we do these things in mental health called cope ahead plans, or mental health safety plans, self-care plans. They're all in the same realm of planning for support for yourself. So if you know you struggle with negative thoughts at the beginning of the day, affirmations at the top of your day, podcasts at the top of the day, things to pour into you in that way. If you know you struggle with a certain thing, like if when you are upset about something or you get a letdown around something and it's making you forget or making you feel disconnected, start filling that space with, again, those affirmations, again, like quotes that you believe in, leaning into your support to other people in your community that you can call for encouragement, watching videos like this to remind you of whose you are and what you have already afforded for yourself, that can allow you to get to where you need to be as it relates to your relationship with joy. Like, all of these things help you get to where you need to be, and help prepare you with almost like a safety net. We want to be proactive and not reactive when it comes to maintaining our joy. We want to be proactive and not reactive when it comes to remembering whose you are and how much God loves you. You want to be proactive and not reactive when it comes down to trying to make sure that you're not so wrapped up in your shame and your guilt that you forget who you are, you know? So my relationship with God has been the most roller coastery, tumultuous, back and forth thing I've ever experienced in my life. And it's been the most rewarding at the same time, because now I know that my joy is something that can't nobody take away. Now I know that my joy is something that life's experiences, not even death, can make it disappear from me. You see what I'm saying? I know that it's something that is instilled in me. And then because I know this for a fact, I think I have to help you, whoever, understand that in the same way, and with the same power, with the same emphasis, it doesn't go away. It never fades. The joy don't go nowhere. It's always been in you. It's right there. You have it. You got to work to remember. You have to work to remind yourself. You have to work to prepare yourself to receive it, right? And make sure that your heart is in a posture to receive the joy that is there. But it is in you. You are more than capable. It's not something that's too far away from you. So that is my thoughts today. I hope that was helpful. And if you have some questions about anything, you need some extra support, just feel free to let me know. Let me know if this was helpful. And I'll talk to you soon.